नमस्ते. कर्मण्ये वधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफल हेतुर्भुः मा ते संगोस्तव कर्मणि. Meaning, you have the right to karma, that is action, but never to the fruits thereof. You should never get motivated to the results by your action, nor get attached to any of your prescribed duties. Hello guys, I hope you all are safe and staying healthy at home. Today we are going to discuss a very hot topic, that is the need of an hour. Why education should be a minimum eligibility criteria into the political system, but not the criminalization of politics. There shouldn't be no criminalization into the political system, but education should be the must criteria. See, as we will be going forward with our 5W factors and 1H factors. The first factor is why the education is an utmost important to be inculcated into the political system. The reason is we are seeing the ramification of not including education into the system. For example, the failure of the women empowerment. There is a huge racial discrimination, the discrimination of gender, the biased into the politics, not to mention the fact even in the business, as well as there is a surge of unemployment rate. And also, who are the factors to blame why there is a failure into the political system? I'll tell you, when our constitution came into force on 26th January 1950, so we had this elite class of people that sometimes people used to call as a paradise of lawyers. That is, only the educated people were into the constituent assembly who were drafting our constitution. Those people have drafted the constitution in a way that still we have not amended even once. That is the foundation level. That was so concrete enough. Like if you see the Pakistan and our neighboring countries, Bangladesh as well as the Sri Lanka, they have amended their own constitution many times, which is still tending the chance of amending it. But our constitution is having a concrete position into the political system because it was made of the paradise of lawyers. Look, we were not there when the constitution had been made, maybe not for this decade or 2 or 3 decades, so people of generation were not there. Also, we did not commit ourselves that we will be abiding to the constitution of what our ancestors have put into the constitution, right? But then still we are following it, and it is so concrete because of the elite educationalist people who were into the constitution assembly who drafted it by considering all the stratas of the people, regardless of discrimination. For example, during that time, the majority of Hindu people who had included the laws and the policies which will be helpful or for the welfare of the people of the minority people, that was the kind of rigid the constitution which we had, and still we are having it. However, we are still having the flexibility of amending a few of the provisions not by the consents but by the proper procedure to be followed in a voting process. That is the reason why there is an education must into our political system. The next factor we are going to talk about is the where and when factor. So there is few of our states where we are having education as a minimum eligibility criteria into the Panchayati Raj system. That is the local level self-government. For example, Rajasthan was the first state in India to have this law in 2015, and followingly Haryana was the second state who adopted this kind of minimum eligibility criteria of education into the Panchayati Raj system. So I'll tell you actually how it was being justified and who were all the opponents for criticizing why bringing such law is not very much helpful for the illiterate people. For example, there are these civil society people who propose that if you are bringing education into the criteria, what about the illiterate people? That means they are disqualified for contesting the election. And the criteria was for the general people, eligibility criteria was class 10, and for the women the class 8, and for the SC the class 5. Putting into the figure, 61% of the SC women were disqualified and 41% of the men were disqualified. This is what the argument proposed by the civil society people. And in order to counter argue this, how the Supreme Court upholded saying that education is must, what they said is, if you inculcate the education, that doesn't mean it is an illogical or irrational. It's simply because in order to improve the efficiency or the betterment of the administration, education is must. Education brings as a tool which tells what is integrity, that is what is good and wrong, what is right or wrong, right? So this is how the counter argument posed by the Justice Chalaneshwar. And another factor is what the civil society people are saying is, people do not choose to be illiterate, they said. So for this, what Justice said is, see, there is another one criteria also which is called insolvency as a disqualification for contesting the election. Meaning is that when a person is unable to pay his debt which he might have bought from the cooperative banks or from the agriculture banks, or if he is unable to pay even the electricity bill, that kind of person is not eligible for contesting the election. When there is a criteria something like that, it simply means that he is not having the financial capability for contesting the election. So that is also rational and that is logical too. So similarly he said agriculture, education can also be and the most important factor in contesting the election, not only in the Panchayati Raj election. It can also be propagated to the uppermost or the bottom to top approach. After that, even in the Karnataka, the then CM Siddaramaiah also proposed that why there should be an education only in the Panchayati Raj level. It should be from the top to bottom approach. Say you first do the MP people, consider the MP to have the minimum educational qualification, so that immediately all will fall in line. That was the one of the reprimand proposed by Siddaramaiah. Though there is no such criteria yet into the Karnataka system. Now we will talk about the what factor. What is so ironic about the Indian political spectrum is that we do not have the eligibility criteria as education into the political system, but we do have almost of the elected representative having the criminal backgrounds. I'm not kidding, actually, it's a true fact. There is a criminalization of politics. I'll quote with an example. I'm not just say something which is fake or the falsified information. In the 2004 election, we had about 24% of our MPs who had criminal records, and in 2009 that increased to 30, in 2014 that increased to 40, in 2019 it has been increased to 43%. I have no clue actually why it has increased to 43 and why our political party leaders are giving the tickets to the people who are having the criminal backgrounds to contest for the election. These are the true facts. Nowadays there is an excessive criminalization into the political system. It's everywhere, right from the bureaucracy to the polices, media to the businesses, civil society people to the NGOs. Everywhere there is an politicization. And I'll tell you why what can happen because of this COP, that is criminalization of politics, is that a bad governance and a complete corruption. The factor is for the corruption, the main factor is the electoral fraud, which is causing the COP, criminalization of politics. See, during those days, we had this muscle power. The political people used to go show their muscle power and they get the vote from the people. But now the money is playing the important factor. I'll give an example. We are having this political funding. So there are certain people who would like to donate amount to the political parties for their winning the majority into the general elections, or for that matter the state election. That political funding is not having any of the transparency, as well as the another classification is the electoral bond. It is similar to the funding. Even that is not coming under the umbrella of right to information. Right to information is an option available for the people to get to know about all our political peoples, what are their background qualification, and what are the amounts or the affidavit which they claimed before the contesting the elections. We can have access to all those informations of any of the members. So even that is not under RTI, Right to Information Act. So there is a huge lack of transparency as well as the accountability at the present condition. Now let's talk about the how factor as well as the who factor. The how factor goes in a very recent judgment by our Supreme Court on February 2020. It stated that the political parties are obligated to come clean and provide the ticket to the candidate who is having the non-criminal background. This ensures the accountability and transparency of the member who will be heading as an elected representative in order to make laws and policies for us. That's how this judgment will let us to make our governance a non-corrupted and also a transparent and accountable one. How we can basically are going to monitor this is so this Supreme Court has said to the ECI that the Election Commission of India as well as the media people should act to monitor the affidavit, whatever the contesting candidate is submitting, that need to be monitored properly, and post all those things in the media as well as in the social media platform of the political parties leadership heads for Facebook or Twitter, everywhere they should post it. We can see this evident in the upcoming election in October 2020 in Bihar, like how effective the judgment of the Supreme Court will be implemented in practicality. So the next comes the who factor. Listen, like rather than the people contest to the elections, why don't we take the initiation in making one of us responsible to ask them to stand for contesting the election. Say there are the bureaucrats who by and large made a huge improvements in our country. I'm not denying the fact whatever had happened, the good things, it is not completely dwelling into the responsible of the PM or CMs. It is basically the chief secretary and the cabinet secretary of both the central and the state parties. So we should ask the retired bureaucrat people to come and contest the election, so that there will be we can expect the upliftment of the above said first ramifications, such as the rampant extreme poverty which is still prevalent in our country, as well as the unemployment rate, women empowerment rate is very low. This can be at least mitigated. So whatever the SCR said cannot be completely ignored. It can at least act as checks and balances, so that this political party leadership will come so clean, and we'll be able to see some improvement in our system. So that's how we are going to end this. In our future or upcoming videos, I'd like to share like what kind of people we are supposed to vote for the MLA, that is a member of Legislative Assembly, as well as in the Panchayati votes also. So that's it from my side, and I hope you will like this, and I request you people to put this into your WhatsApp status so that many people will get the reach and how valuable the education system that will play a vital role in molding our democratic country. So I'm so proud that being in India, and I would like to contribute more for the development and upliftment of the people. So Jai Hind, please do like my video, share, comment, and without failing subscribe it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks a lot.